Hello and welcome to bradleyphotograph.com.au and welcome to PhotoMasters 101, the basics. This is the very first episode, and we're just going to be learning some very basic things regarding DSLR cameras and SLR photography. All my contact details are just down there below. I've got a YouTube channel, Twitter, Facebook, my email address, brad@bradleyphotograph.com.au, and you can also register so that you get these videos and different posts and things delivered to you at the address just listed there, PM Register, bit.ly/PM Register. That'll take you there. Just enter your name and email address and you can get started. On with the show. So today we're going to be looking at a few different things: photography versus photography, photography tools, what you'll need, beginner tips for beginners, basic image composition, and there's going to be a challenge at the end. So let's get started. Photography versus photography. Alright, so you can see here, snow-covered spruce tree, 20 by 30 print, one of a kind. If you just have a look up at the top, it's $18,000 USD. I'm not sure that I would pay that much for it, but interesting nonetheless. So that's an example of what I'd call a photographer. Someone who's jumped the gun, even. Here's another example. We've got a beer bottle centered on the image. $25 for a 5x7 of the beer bottle with 2 pine cones. Or on the right hand side we've got a nice Mark Gray print for $20, and it's 33 by 16.5 inch. So I guess the moral of what I'm trying to say is that you really can't skip the basics. You have to learn the basics. You have to learn the basics and keep moving and learn more and more as you go. You really can't just jump the gun and start charging ridiculous prices and pretending that you know all there is to know about photography. There is so much to know. Despite what you might think, there is so much to know, and this is a really good starting place. So let's get started. Photography tools. So these are some of the things you're going to need as we go through this course. You're not going to need the tripod every lesson, but the rest of these things: an entry-level DSLR camera, Mac or a PC, and a keen eye. So any of those things would be great. Basic tripod, don't need it every lesson, but there will be one or two where we're going to use it. Might be doing some time-lapse photography. Alright, so beginner tips for beginners. So you can see some examples there of some photos that I didn't take all of them. The one in the middle there is my lovely little daughter, Addison. But what you can see there is some different types of shots, some different composition techniques, and actually there's one there that's breaking a few rules that I'd like to talk about. So let's keep going. Alright. Tip number 1, try to hold your camera level with the main object. So you can see here we've got a picture of a dog at the top on the right. The person that's taken that photograph taken quite an effective photo, but the dog is level with the camera, so it sort of brings you into that picture. You can see bottom left you've got some sort of insect. I think it's a grasshopper. Macro photography is something that's really amazing, something I haven't personally mastered myself. I've had a bit of a play, but I haven't really gotten right into it. So that photo you can see there is quite amazing, actually. The one in the middle is the tulip. I think it's the tulip. Anyway, they've gotten down level with the object or the subject of the photograph, and also the last one, which is the bike, once again gotten down on road level and taken that photo. So yeah, some really cool photos done with that technique of holding your camera level with the main object. This also works if you're taking photos of your family or friends or whatever. If you get in line with them, you can get some really effective photos. Babies in particular is a good example of that. Alright. Usually place the main source of light behind you or over your shoulder. So you can see there's 3 different examples there. The first one's the top right. Lady's got light coming down from above. She's also got light coming from behind, but there's quite a lot more light coming from in front of, which is behind the camera, or over the shoulder. The lady with red hair with the blue background, The light's sort of off to the left hand side, so it's kind of over the shoulder of the photographer, off to the left. And also we've got a studio there. Excuse me. The studio where the photographer would stand in front of those two lights, or somewhere close to. So the light is still going to be coming from behind. Okay, it's an artificial light, but it's still coming from behind the camera, or the view of the camera. You can get some really effective shots once again. If you really think about where the light's positioned and where you can stand, so that it's going to appear from behind you. Okay, so to really light up that person, or usually people, and to get rid of those shadows. Next one, use a dark background for taking a picture of a light object, or use a light background for taking a shot of a dark object. So this idea of contrast is really something that can be used effectively. You see that amazing shot there of the two wine glasses. They've obviously spent quite a bit of time getting that right. The crow on a really light background, and the gentleman there in the business suit, they've actually taken a background that's quite dark, so that they can, light, so that they can lift out that image of the guy there. So really a good technique to use if you're thinking about taking a photo of family or friends. You want to put them on an appropriate background. So you might even want to look at what they're wearing. Sometimes that can help you in choosing a background or a backdrop. Leave a space in front of a moving object or partially moving object. You can see each one of those. The fact that there's a gap left for the movement is really effective in the image. Particularly the jet fighter. So you know that the missile is going to start shooting off and disappear in the distance, but for that moment it captures that movement and what's going to happen. Alright, so I've just gone through a few different rules, but unfortunately in the world of photography, rules are made to be broken, so don't be afraid of breaking them. As Edward Weston said, consulting the rules of composition before taking a photograph is like consulting the laws of gravity before going for a walk. Okay, so you can see those three different images, all of which break at least one of those rules that we've just talked about. Okay, you've got the sun facing the camera, you've got an action shot with the car, and there's no gap left at the front, and then you've got the one of the moon on the water. The background is really not that contrasty to the foreground. The last one I want to talk about is the rule of thirds, and this image composition technique is one that I really like to play with. You can get some really amazing shots out of it. The one on the bottom right, some of my good friends, I was lucky enough to shoot their wedding, and that's one of my favourite examples of how you can use the rule of thirds to create a really effective picture. So on the left hand side you can see the grids placed. You've got to imagine those grids. Sometimes you can bring it up on the camera if you like, but if you constantly picture those grids, you can actually split it off into three sections. So the very top left, you've got the message in the bottle, you've got the water, you've got the wood, and you've got the sky. So it's split off into three sections. But not only is it split off to three sections, it's actually off-centered the bottle. Okay, so they moved it into the right-hand side of that grid. So that's how you can start to use that rule of thirds. But this is going to lead to our challenge. Okay, I'm not going to talk too much more about the rule of thirds. I want you to have a play with it. I want you to go out and experiment and see what you can come up with. So here's the PhotoMasters challenge. Don't forget to register. You've got to register. And at the moment we're not too worried about the settings on the camera. We're just going to switch to auto, and we're going to play with that rule of thirds. I'd like you to go out, take as many shots as you can, trying out that rule of thirds, and see what you can come up with. So you can come up with the best, and then just email it in to me. And you never know, if you win, you might have your image. I might go the best 2 or 3 images will be featured in the next lesson. So get out there, take some photos, and really looking forward to sharing your photos with everyone. Okay, So, thanks for joining me on the PhotoMasters 101, the very first episode. Look forward to seeing you the next time. Once again, don't forget to register. Thanks. Bye.